So today also we are going to discuss about workflows, guys. Workflows is actually a server-side script which is used to automate the process in the organization. Workflows can be created on the tables, and workflows are actually created on the catalog items as well. If you want to create the workflow for catalog items, you have to create the workflow on the requested item table. So we created a workflow. We'll go to the workflow editor. So this is the workflow that we created. In the workflow, what is happening? So first of all, it is checking the manager is there or not. If the manager is there, we are keeping the approval state as requested. So we are sending the approval. Once they approved it, okay. So here, what did we select here? So in the child activities, all child activities to be approved. So we selected all child activities to be approved. Okay, once all the child activities are approved, it will actually mark the approval state as approved. Then it will create a catalog task. Then it will send an email notification. It will mark the requested item state as closed complete. It will end the workflow. So this is the flow that we have seen in our previous session. So I am going to submit the catalog item, guys. Go to the maintain item. Go to the maintain items. So once you submit this catalog item, okay. Now you can see the approval state is in the requested state. You can see group approval and user approval both are actually sent at a time. So once it is approved, it is actually waiting for this particular approval. In the meantime, I'm actually adding one manual approval. I'm adding Abraham Lincoln as a manual approval. Requested. So once I approve this one, okay. So now it is actually waiting for manual approval. It is waiting for manual approval. We'll see where exactly the work is waiting. So it hasn't waited for the manual approval, right? It has not waited for the manual approval. It has directly created the task. I think there is something that is missing. Once I close this particular task, so it will complete the requested item. You can see requested item is closed complete. So guys, remember here, this is the flow that is running in the backend. This is the flow that is running in the backend. Okay. We'll go to the workflow. I am removing this approval coordinator from here. I am using approval user here. Using approval user, I am sending an approval to the manager. Approval to the manager. Current dot variables dot requested for dot manager. Okay, if it is approved, it will go this path. If it is rejected, it will go this path. Okay. So guys, here, if manager rejected 3 times, only then it should be considered as rejection. If manager rejected only one time, okay, it should not be considered as rejection, guys. If manager rejected 3 times, only then it will be considered as rejection. If manager rejected only one time, it will not be considered as rejection, guys. So in that case, we have to use rollback to activity here. There is a rollback to activity, which will actually move the workflow towards backward direction. Okay. Which will move the workflow towards backward direction. If you want to limit that, you can use an activity called turnstile activity. This turnstile activity is used to limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. Okay. Getting my point. So if it is rejected, it will go to this path. Okay. So I want to limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. Then I am using turnstile activity. This turnstile activity, where is this turnstile activity? This turnstile activity will limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. Okay. So I am just keeping 2 times. So one time approval is sent, remaining 2 times. If manager rejected 3 times, only then it will be considered as rejection. Okay. Once it reaches 3 times, then again it will go to rejection part. Okay. See here, it will send an approval. If manager rejected 3 times, only then it will be considered rejection. If manager rejected only 1 time, it will not be considered rejection, guys. Okay, clear, right? Just a moment, guys. Okay, fine. So we will see them practically, guys. Okay. Now you can see approval is actually sent. I am rejecting first time, guys. When I reject it, is it considered as rejection or not? We will see here. You can see still it is in the requested state. I am rejecting it second time. Okay. Still it is actually still in the rejection state, requested state. So now this time, third time will be considered as rejection, guys. You can say one workflow has been cancelled. You can see approval state is rejected and the requested item is set as closed incomplete. If you just go to the show workflow here, if you just go to the show workflow, here you can see, first of all, when manager rejected it, it went here. First time it went here. Second time it went here. Third time it went here. Fourth time, from here onwards, it came this side. It came this side. It has actually kept the requested item as closed incomplete and it has actually marked as rejected. It has sent an email. It has sent an email. It has actually ended the workflow. Okay. Well, this rollback to activity is used to move the workflow towards backward direction, guys. This rollback to activity is used to move the workflow towards backward direction. This turnstile activity is used to limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. This turnstile activity is used, okay. This turnstile activity is used to limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. Okay, fine. Well, here, guys, I'm going to remove this one. I'm directly tagging here. Okay. So you understand about rollback to right? Rollback activity is used to move the workflow towards backward direction. That is one thing. Turnstile activity is used to limit how many times a workflow can pass through the same activity. Okay. Well, guys, remember, if I have to create one task, we are using catalog task activity. What if I have to create 4 tasks at a time? So if you have to create 4 tasks at a time, remember this point, we have to use join activity. Okay, we have to use join activity. Okay. So guys, the workflow has to wait for 4 tasks to be completed. The workflow has to wait for 4 tasks to be completed. So to wait the workflow, to wait for these 4 tasks, we have to use an activity called join activity. This join activity will wait for all the catalog tasks. Okay. So this join activity wait for all the catalog tasks, guys. Okay. Okay. So guys, to create 4 tasks at a time, you have to use a activity called a branch activity. Okay. Branch activity. So if you are creating multiple tasks at a time, you have to use branch and join combination, guys. If you are creating multiple tasks at a time, so you are creating multiple tasks using branch activity, you are using join activity. Here also you are using branch. Sorry, it should be join. So this branch activity will actually allow you to create 4 tasks at a time. This join activity will wait for the 4 tasks to be completed. Okay. So we will see that practically, guys. You can see once it is approved, it will create 4 tasks at a time. It will create 4 tasks at a time. Okay. If you see here, if you look at the workflow, now the workflow is actually waiting for all the tasks to be completed. Okay. I'm going to complete one task here. Okay. So I completed this particular task, guys. Remaining 3 tasks, it is waiting. The join activity is waiting for remaining 3 tasks. So once I close these three tasks, then the workflow will move forward. Then the workflow will move forward. Okay. Now you can see the workflow is actually closed complete. Now you can see the workflow has moved forward. The join activity is actually waiting for all the 4 tasks to be completed and then it is moving forward. Guys, remember, like you create a manual approval, like you add the manual approval. Similarly, you can create a manual task as well. If the workflow also has to wait for manual task, if the workflow also has to wait for manual task, okay, in that case, join activity will not work. Join activity will not work if the workflow has to wait for the manual task as well. Okay, remember this point, guys. So in that case, uh, in place of this join activity, we have to use an activity called wait for condition activity. We have to use an activity called wait for completion activity. Okay, wait for all tasks to be completed. Okay, so I am just writing glide record on the SC task table. SC underscore task. Okay, add active query. Front dot sysid. Okay, so if there is any active record found, then keep answer is equal to false, else answer is equal to okay. It will wait for catalog tasks as well as manual task as well. Okay, Now I am creating a manual. Once it is approved, it will create 4 tasks, right? Once I approve this one, it will create a manual task here. I am creating a manual task here. It is still waiting for the manual task, guys. If it is a join activity will wait for only wait for only workflow activities. Wait for condition will wait for manual task as well. So if I close this manual task, the workflow will move forward. The workflow will move forward. Is it still waiting? Request item current system ID. If gr.next, if there is two forms. Answer is equal to true. Okay. So unfortunately, it has kept here as inactive query. We have to keep add active query. Okay. If no active record found, then we have to keep it as answer is equal to true. I'm creating a manual task here. Now we will see if the workflow is actually waiting or not. Is it? Cancel. Has happened. Okay, this it should wait for all the tasks to be completed. Creating a manual task now. Now the workflow has to wait there. Now the workflow is waiting for the manual task here. So once I complete this manual task, the workflow should move forward. Now I completed the manual task, right? Now the workflow is closed, completed. The workflow has moved forward. So that means wait for completion. Wait for completion activity is used. Wait for completion activity is used for the manual task, guys. If there is any manual task, if it has to wait for all the manual tasks to be completed, then the wait for condition is used. Join activity is used for only for workflow tasks that are created. Only the tasks that are created from workflow, only for those tasks only join activity will wait. Okay. So here in place of catalog task, I want to create a incident record, guys. I want to create a incident record. So then what I will do in place of catalog task, I'm going to remove this one. I want to create an incident record. Then you have to take an activity called create task. So we have to take an activity called create task activity. So guys, here you can select any table that is extending task tables. You can select a table here that is extending any task table. So incident is extending task table. Problem is extending task table. Change request is extending task table. So create you can create a record on a table which is extending task table, guys. Okay, I am selecting incident here. Okay, so here in the incident form there are multiple fields, right? If you want to fill all the field values, you have to check advanced checkbox. So here using task object, task.callWrite is equal to current dot variables dot requested for current dot sorry task dot. So I want to create 4 incidents, guys. Okay, 2, 3. Okay, let us understand 3. Okay, so here we have to write a logic here. So in the incident table, there is a field called parent field. There is a field called parent field. Okay, if there is any active incident, we will actually wait here. If there is no active incident, we will move forward. It will wait for all the 3 incidents to be closed. Okay, so in the request item form, I am adding a related list called incidents related list. So incidents are already added, na? It has created 3 incidents here, guys. If you see, total 3 incidents are created. Now you can see where the workflow is waiting. It is waiting for all the three incidents to be closed. Okay. Closing all these 3 incidents. Now I closed all these 3 incidents, guys. We'll see where the workflow is waiting. Now the workflow has moved forward. It has closed the requested item. So in place of incidents, if you want to create the problems, what you can do is you can just select in the task. You can select it as problem here. So in place of here task type, in place of incident, you can select problem here. It will create a problem here. Okay. So it will create 3 problems and it will wait for 3 problems to be closed. Okay. It will wait for 3 problems to be closed. So likewise, guys, you can create incidents, you can create problems. Once approval is approved, you can, if you want, not only catalog tasks, you can create incidents, you can create problems, change requests. You can create HR cases as well. So here HR case is not extending task table, right? What if I want to create a HR case record? So you have to create HR case record using run script activity. So using run script activity, you have to create HR case. Okay. Okay. It will create a HR case. So if I want to create a HR case, what I can do is I can use run script activity here. So using run script activity, you can write any server side script in the workflow. Okay, you can use a run script activity. Using run script activity, you can write any server side script in the workflow, guys. So you can write glide record to create a HR case record here. Okay, create HR case. So you can write glide record to create the HR case here. So here what you have to do is you have to write if condition here, not wait for completion. Wait for condition here. You have to write the logic in such a way that you have to write a glide record on the HR case table. Add query, give underscore not equal to 7, not equal to 7, not closed. Okay, then active false, then active true. So here you are actually waiting for HR case to be completed. Once HR case is completed, then you can actually send an email notification. Guys, here you can send an email notification using notification activity, and you can also send an email notification using email notification using create event activity. Create event activity is like a event firing. Create event activity. So create event activity is like firing the event using gs.event queue. Okay. So HR case HR case dot record dot created. Okay. So what it does, it will wait for the HR case to be completed. It will actually fire the event. What is the event that we selected? The event will be fired. Once this event is fired, it will create a event log, and then it will send the email. So this is actually event param 1. Param 1 means event param 1. Param 2 means event param 2. So you can pass event param 1 value, you can pass event param 2 value. You have selected the event name here. So it is like a firing the event using create event activity. Okay. Or else what you can do is, so you can also, in place of create event activity, you can also again write run script activity here. Again, you can use run script activity here. gs dot event queue, event queue, event name, event param 1, comma, event param 2. So this way also you can actually send an email notification, guys. This way. So you can use send notification or create event or run script gs dot event queue. So you can use any of these three approaches. Okay. And the last activity that we can discuss is switch activity, guys. Switch activity is used for condition fields. Let me just move towards this one. Here you can use switch activity. So switch activity, guys, switch activity is used for only for choice type of fields. Okay. So I am selecting here variable or choice. I am selecting variable. So I am selecting here as color. Color variable I am selecting here. With this color variable, okay, this color variable, it will actually create the conditions with the choices. Black, silver, white, gold. These are actually choices that we created, right? With these choices, it will create the conditions automatically. If you select black, it will go this path. If you select silver, it will go this path. If you select white, it will go this path. If you select gold, it will go this path. So likewise, if there are any conditions, you can use switch activity, guys. Getting my point? Okay. Guys, here workflows, you can create a workflow and you can fire that workflow using script also. You can create a workflow. You can fire that workflow using script also, guys. Okay. How do you fire the workflow using scripting? So using workflow API. There is an API called workflow API. Okay. So you can use new workflow dot start flow and the workflow system ID, comma, the operation, insert operation or update operation that you are doing. Okay, you can fire the workflow using script also, guys. Workflow API. Workflow script includes provides methods that interface with the workflow engine. Workflow.broadcast event. So in the record, let us say in the requested item, how many workflows are running? So how many workflows are running? You can actually check it using new workflow dot get running flows. Okay, new workflow dot get running flows. Okay. So if you want to cancel the workflow, you can use cancel method here. New workflow dot cancel method. Okay. If you want to cancel the context, cancel the running context by broadcasting cancel event to activities in the workflow context. So delete workflow. So delete all the workflows on that particular record. Okay, you can delete the workflows. Fire event. Okay. And we have get contexts. So you can also restart the workflow using restart workflow also. Okay. So you can actually restart the workflow using restart workflow also. So you can start the workflow using start flow. So using this new workflow, guys, using this new workflow API, you can actually start the workflow, you can restart the workflow, you can cancel the workflow, you can cancel all the workflows that are running on the record. Okay. So using this new workflow dot cancel, you can use this one, guys, finally. Dot cancel, if you pass current here, all the workflows that are running on the current record will be cancelled. New workflow dot restart workflow. Okay, the workflows that are running on this particular record will be restarted. Okay, if you want to start flow, you can use dot start flow. The context ID, workflow system ID, and you have to pass operation and current object, current record. Operation you have to mention insert or update. Okay. So likewise, you can use delete the records as well. So delete the workflows that are running on the record as well. Likewise, guys, you can use scripting to start the workflow, to restart the workflow, to cancel the workflow, to delete the workflows, workflow contexts. Okay. So you have to use this API. Remember this fine. You can remember that you can actually start the workflow using scripting, restart the workflow using scripting. You can cancel the workflow using scripting. Guys, remember in the workflow, suppose I want to cancel this requested item. So when I cancel this requested item, attached workflow also should be cancelled, right? So when I click on this cancel here, okay, when I click on the cancel here, the workflow will be the requested item will be cancelled. That is okay. The attached workflow to this particular requested item also should be cancelled, right? The workflow that is actually attached to this particular requested item also should be cancelled, right? So in the UI action, we will write the logic to cancel the workflow as well. In the UI action, we will write the logic to cancel the workflow as well. Uh, uh, we will write the logic that the attached workflow to this particular requested item also should be cancelled. Should be cancelled. Okay, fine. New workflow dot start flow. So guys, you can call another workflow in this in this workflow. You can call another workflow, guys. So if you want to call another workflow in this workflow, you can call another workflow in this workflow as well. Okay. You are calling another workflow in this workflow, guys. Okay. Here two things comes into picture. Here two things comes into picture. So you can pass value from one activity to if you want to pass a value from one activity to another activity, you can pass a value from one activity to another activity. If you want to pass a value from one workflow to another workflow, you can also pass values from one workflow to another workflow as well, guys. Okay. So you can pass values from one activity to another activity. You can pass values from one workflow to another workflow as well. Suppose here I am actually creating a scratchpad variable, guys. So this is called scratchpad workflow scratchpad variable. Okay, I am just creating workflow dot scratchpad dot workflow dot scratchpad dot Indian captain Indian captain. So guys, don't know who the new captain. I'm keeping MS Dhoni. MS Dhoni. Okay, so this is a variable name, workflow scratchpad variable name. Okay, so in this scratchpad variable name, I stored MS Dhoni name. Okay, okay, MS Dhoni name I have selected. So here, if you want to carry this MS Dhoni value, if you want to carry this MS Dhoni value to another activity in the workflow, let us say I want to access MS Dhoni value here. Okay, in this activity. So you can access MS Dhoni value using this workflow.scratchpad variable workflow.scratchpad Indian captain value here. So if you want to access okay MS Dhoni value in this particular run script, you can access here using you can actually so in this variable you will store MS Dhoni value, guys. In the scratchpad variable, you are storing MS Dhoni value in this particular activity, right? In this activity, you are storing in the workflow.scratchpad variable name, you stored MS Dhoni. The same value, if you want to access it, you can use workflow.scratchpad variable name here. Okay, workflow.scratchpad variable name here. Okay, so you can carry a value from one activity to another activity using workflow.scratchpad variable. Okay, so guys, here if I have to pass a value from one workflow to another workflow. So if I have to pass a value from one workflow to another workflow, so this is a child workflow, contract approval, right? This is actually a child workflow, contract approval, right? I am going to contract approval. So I am just checking out this one. So here you have to create the inputs here. Okay. I am clicking on edit inputs here. I am creating a new input. Okay. Captain name. Captain name. I have created an input here. So these are actually workflow inputs. I have created an input in the child workflow, guys. Okay. Now I am publishing this one. Now you go to the workflow here. So you open the child workflow here. You will be able to see the input here. You will be able to see the input here. Captain name. So here you can use workflow dot scratchpad dot Indian captain. So here you will get MS Dhoni. You are passing MS Dhoni value to child workflow. You are passing MS Dhoni value to child workflow. So in the child workflow, okay, I want MS Dhoni value to be populated here in this run script activity. So in the the child activity, I have to populate MS Dhoni value. So in that case, what I will do is, okay, I will access input values using workflow dot inputs dot inputs dot okay workflow dot inputs dot view underscore captain underscore name. This is the input that we created in the child table, right? And this is the input name that we created in the child workflow, right? Okay, you guys are clear, right? Everyone. You guys are clear, right? Guys, are you guys are clear? Is it too much stuff for you? I'm unmuting everyone. Monday onwards, we'll start discussing record producers. Okay. Next week will be our final.
So do you have class on tomorrow? Tomorrow class time. Is there any class?
Tomorrow, let me take rest, madam.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Actually, will be a versions of the workflow, right? It will be stored in the wf.workflow table, something like workflow versions will be. Hello. Uday, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, I'm asking like workflow versions will be stored in wf.workflow,
Underscore
right?
context. Yes.
To retain the workflow, I just went into there. I have seen the version also, but to retain, I mean, to retain that version, I haven't able to do that. Can you just show me that how to retain that the older version? Like I haven't seen any option like to retain that version.
Which one you are pointing at?
I think that is wf underscore workflow. Underscore workflow.
These ones you are asking?
Yes, yes, Uday.
Hmm.
Just any workflow, just our created workflow.
Yes.
Versions, Uday, where is the versions of this workflow? Context.
Versions.
Yes, the workflow versions, it will store in the versions, right? I mean, we can retain the older version also. wf underscore workflow dot list. I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Yeah, workflow versions is there, right?
Yeah, workflow versions are there.
I mean, how to retain to the older version of the workflow? That is my actual question.
So we have created different versions, right? I think every time when you publish, new version will be created.
Yes, yes. But I want to retain the older version, then how they it.
You want to revert back to normal version?
Yes, yes. I can't see any option when the right click or something. I don't see any option. Yeah,
Yeah.
revert to this version option should be there, but I
Should be
don't.
there. Yes, yes.
I can't see that option.
No, there is an option, but I have to look for it. But there is an option, guys,
Yes,
to
yes.
revert back to previous step. I'll look into it and update you.
Okay, thanks.
Uday, I have one query. So, actually, while we kept that callback, right, rollback. So there immediately it is once he rejected, immediately it is again coming to requester, right? Is there any way we can keep some time gap there, like between?
Very good. I forgot to mention that. Yes. So in the workflow, you can use timer activity. There is an activity called a timer activity.
Okay.
So using timer, how much time you want to wait? After that much time, you can actually send another approval.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, there is an option, timer activity. So where you have to mention how many number of seconds you want to wait.
Okay. 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 Uday. Thanks.
Whatever we discussed, these are all the frequent activities, right?
Yes.
Mostly we don't use. We
Most of the
mostly use
activities that we use.
we use these only. Yeah. Okay. Okay.